So what people are saying, well, okay, we can tell people to eat healthily, and some people do and some people don't, but is there any evidence that you can combine the healthy components of food, or the phytochemicals, polyphenols, into a pill and either boost people who already have a healthy diet or compensate for people who have an unhealthy diet? For designing clinical studies, of course, it's easier to use a supplement than a dietary intervention, because compliance is not as wonderful as you think. And I'd like to split supplements into two types. There's ones where you actually remove a chemical from the food, such as a mineral or a vitamin, and you put that into a pill. And there's other supplements which basically just get food, remove the sugar, remove the bulking agents, and squeeze it into a pill. So you're basically getting a concentrated polyphenol mix, but it's essentially food. So what's the evidence for minerals and vitamins? We know that many people take minerals and vitamins, and it's more common if you are a patient as well. Now, there are some data. There was a randomized study from France which showed that if you took a concoction of vitamin C, E and A and selenium, there was a reduced risk of prostate cancer. There were some villagers in China who were profoundly selenium deficient. When you gave them selenium, they had a lower risk of cancer. But in the Western world, most of us aren't mineral or vitamin deficient. And we haven't got on a boat and sailed around, the Horn of South Africa or something and not had fruit for 6 months. So most of us eat a reasonable diet. And when there were some randomized controlled trials of, say, for example, vitamin A after lung cancer, they found that there was an increase of relapse rate if you gave people vitamin A. This was confirmed in another study from Scandinavia, given vitamin A and beta-carotene. And again, they had to stop the trial because there was an increase in lung cancer in the group given the vitamin. There was a study from America showing that men who took more than 100 milligrams of zinc a day had a higher risk of prostate cancer. And the very large international SELECT study showed the combination of vitamin E and selenium increased the prostate cancer risk. So this is probably the most important one. This is the EPIC study. It's a European study based in, coordinated from Norfolk. And this particular trial looked at folate, and it showed if you were folate deficient, you had an increased risk of cancer. But if you had folate excess, you had an increased risk of cancer. So you've got to be in the middle, basically. So what places like the Memorial Sloan Kettering are saying is they would not recommend long-term mineral and vitamin supplements unless you have a known deficiency or a suspected deficiency. Not short-term, if you're off your food for a bit is probably a good idea, but not long-term. What we've done in our website is provide people with the opportunity to measure their minerals and vitamins. The trouble is these tests are expensive. So it's, but you can get them done. So this test, for example, you get your results of 50 omega-3s, essential minerals, and antioxidants, and you get a report to say if you're deficient in any of these, and you get the correct advice or selected supplements to try and improve it. But unfortunately, we cannot get this on the NHS, and we can't even get this on private health insurance, so people have to pay for themselves. But we have published on that. We published in the Liverpool last year, and the reason why we published it is because 97% of people who bought that test, and these are people who are probably a little bit more healthy than others because they've gone out and paid the money, 97% were vitamin D deficient, of which 40% were profoundly vitamin deficient. So it shows that vitamin D deficiency is common in the UK, and omega-3 was pretty poor as well, actually. So that was interesting finding, although other people have confirmed that, and I'm sure that's quite...
Sorry, can I just butt in? Because I'd really like to know what tests could people get from their GP or oncologist? I mean, I was trying to work out the other day what reasonably people could actually expect or could ask might get.
Officially you can't get vitamin D off your GP. You have to have a reason for it, like a low calcium or something. Some GPs just turn a blind eye and do it anyway. Yeah, I mean, so you can't get any of these tests. You can get a cholesterol and a sugar.
B12?
Yeah, if you have anemia, you can get folate and B12.
But not essential fatty acids?
No. you know, and you know, they're not cheap. That's the problem, and that's why health insurance don't fund this. But I get people now from all over the country, and I say, well, look, if you really want to go to that next level up, and to see, you know, and you're willing to spend the money, that's useful. But it's not, you know, evidence-based. We don't know that if you have this test and you correct a selenium deficiency, you're going to do better. But it just makes common sense. So coming back to, so we've looked at minerals and vitamins. They haven't had a lot of good press lately. But what about whole food supplements? These are basically, as I said, just foods concentrate. And now there's a lot of these available: saw palmetto, ginseng, lycopene. You've probably heard of these things. And a lot of people take them. And there were some early phase 2 studies show they may help. But when the NCI, which is the largest American sort of academic organization, did some very large studies of saw palmetto and lycopene, they found actually no benefit at all.